Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video. And normally on this channel, at the start of the month, we do standard and wild tier lists, where I give you basically the 9 most powerful decks in the meta based on a 3-tier scale. Tier 1 being the absolute best decks in the format, Tier 2 being extremely competitive decks in the format, and Tier 3, I try and do like more honorable mention stuff that you can definitely hit legend with that are relatively powerful and all of that. But, you know, with the introduction of Scholomance Academy near the beginning of the month, felt like, why bother doing a tier list when there's going to be a bunch of new stuff coming out, so waited, and I feel that the meta has settled enough that I can give you at least my impressions of what the most powerful decks in the meta are. I have a feeling that on their next tier list video, early next month, it'll be much different, just because things have been evolving so much, especially in Standard, with just all the different deck creations, all the different ideas out there. It's been really interesting to see. So, yeah, make sure you subscribe, because tomorrow we'll have the wild tier list with the wild decks that I feel are the best. So you'll want to get notified when that goes live. But with no further ado, let's get into it. Let's take a look at the tier list of the most powerful decks in Standard for the month of August 2020. So the first Tier 1 deck I'm going to go over is Bomb Warrior. Yes, Bomb Warrior, not exactly a brand new archetype, but it's performing extremely well, especially on HS Replay Top 1000 Legend. It's the top performing deck, and it's not the most popular, I will admit to that, but I feel it's because it just doesn't have a whole lot of new stuff to it. But if you look at the GM lineups and everything that's been going on, Bomb Warrior is all over the place, and it does a great job of countering aggro, all the Highlander decks. It has the board clears to deal with like Druid and things like that, and it just has a really good matchup spread. It's just not the most exciting thing in the world because, well, if you take a look at the list I'm highlighting here, there's only a couple of new cards. We have Lord Barov, which is an insane board clear with Risky Skipper, setting the minions' healths to 1. And then you have the Troublemaker. It's the new bomb, the new late game threat you can run. He's constantly summoning 3/3s that attack, and if you can't deal with it, it is pretty impossible to deal with, and 6 damage stacks up a lot on an empty board. So this deck's performing extremely well. It's tested and true from the prior set, prior expansion, and I just don't see this one falling off anytime soon. Very powerful deck. Number 2, speaking of older archetypes, is Gallocron Priest. We have seen people hit rank 1 legend. I think Xerios hit it pretty recently with Gallocron Priest. And we're taking a look at a list here from HS Replay that highlights quite a few new cards that are thrown in here. One of the new spells being Wave of Apathy, which sets your opponent's minions attack to 1, which just has really good synergy with Cabal Acolyte, the 4-mana 2/6 taunt that steals a random 2-attack minion. Plus, you also have Cabal Shadow Priest, and you can effectively just steal any minion on the board, which can be a very powerful effect. And one other big addition is Headmaster Kel'Thuzad. In a combination of things like Shadowward Ruin, you just can clean up the board, and summon a bunch of stuff. And, you know, that's a huge board swing that can often be game-winning. And, of course, you have all your Invoke cards, Thought Steal, Sethic, all of that. You're generating a bunch of value. And the deck's just performing very, very well. Again, not a ton of new stuff, but enough new stuff to really put it over the top. And, you know, it can deal with aggressive decks. It can outvalue basically anything in the game. It can also struggle with OTKs, but then you just put Mind Render into the deck and counter a combo if you need to. So, yeah, this deck is very, very powerful at the moment. In my opinion, definitely a Tier 1 deck. And the last Tier 1 deck on the list is Guardian Druid. I guess that's what we're calling it. Beast Druid, Spell Druid, whatever you want to call it. Ramp, Kael'thas. It's all the same thing. You ramp up, you cheat out Guardian animals, whether it be through Lightning Bloom, Overgrowth. You summon Twilight Runners, which helps you draw, cycle. And then you also have your insane Kael'thas turns where you cheat out Survival of the Fittest. Things like that. And then, of course, you have Ysera Unleashed with the bomb value of just tons of dragons and all that. This deck, when it high rolls, nothing else in the game competes with the high roll. It is ridiculous. The issue with the deck is its consistency and its vulnerability to aggro decks and like a big board sweep. Like, there's not that much value outside of Ysera and your couple of guardian animals, so you have to be wary of that. At High Legend, you see the deck a lot, but it's not performing remarkably well. But it's so popular, and the high rolls are so good. I'm still going to list it as Tier 1, but I would not be surprised to see it fall off very soon. Now let's take a look at Tier 2, and we do have another brand new archetype here, and that is Secret Rogue. This has popped up in popularity the last few days, And I've seen it a lot at High Legend, and I've seen a lot of people have a lot of success with it. And basically, if you look at it, it basically caps out at 3 mana. Like, you have Vendettas in there, which are 0 mana, but this deck is all about value. It's not really an aggressive deck. It's all about value. You're getting value through Dragon's Horde, through Pharaoh Cat, through Wand Thief, through Shadow Jeweler Hanar, and your lackeys and evil miscreants. You have Shadow Steps to bounce them back. And of course, you have the insane draw package with Secret Passage, which is just absurd. And I've had games where I'm playing like a priest deck that generates a lot of value, and I get outvalued by just one Wand Thief, because the one Wand Thief can create a mage card, which can create a bunch of cards, which can create more cards. And the value of this deck is insane. And of course, you have the insane tempo of, like, you know, you can make a giant Edwin or questing and all of that. The deck is very versatile, is performing very well, and looks like pretty fun to play. Maybe not the most fun to play against due to all the randomness, but yes, it's performing extremely well. It's already been brought to GM lineups for this weekend stuff, and yeah, very powerful deck. I'm going to be giving it a go on stream soon because I have not tried it out. Got to see what it's all about, and yeah, there's like just so much interesting stuff going on here. The next tier 2 deck is Libra Paladin. I cannot believe how many comments I have read in my my YouTube videos lately. They gotta nerf Libra Paladin. It's ridiculous. And if you look at Libra Paladin across all ranks, the deck is performing insanely well. Like, it's like something like 56, 57%. But the second you get to higher legend, where the people, you know, people play better, they have better lists and all of that, it doesn't perform as remarkably well. Don't get me wrong. It's a very good deck. It does a lot of good stuff. It vomits stats. It has a lot of value with Lady Liadrin. You've got, like, insane new additions like Blessing of Authority, the 5-mana 8/8 buff. You have Devout Pupils, a basically 0-mana Sunwalker. First Day of School, the 0-mana get to 1-drops. I was way wrong about. Turns out 1-drops are insane, and you can get some really good stuff. And then you have crazy high rolls with like High Best Allura cheating out big spells. And of course, I mean, Goody 2 Shields is just an insanely overstated minion. 3-mana 4/2 Divine Shield. Spellburst, get a Divine Shield back. It's insane. Yeah, this deck is performing very well. All the new additions from the set has definitely put over the top, but I'm not going to say it's like this tier 1 juggernaut of a deck. Maybe it needs to get dialed back a little bit, but a lot of decks you could say that about. And yeah, you're going to have some success with this deck, but at higher ranks, I find that the success is definitely more limited, and it's not exactly the juggernaut that it appears to be on Aegis Replay, but certainly a very powerful deck. And the last tier 2 deck we have here is Highlander Priest. We've seen it hit rank 1 legend on NA, and on Aegis Replay, it is doing extremely well at high ranks. I just feel that the deck is a little bit overrated. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Just from my experience playing it, felt it wasn't the most amazing thing in the world. I felt Gallocron Priest was better, so I'm putting it tier 2. But again, it's basically the same argument as, you know, the new Gallocron Priest. It runs a lot of the same new cards. You know, you have Wave of Apathy, you have Kel'Thuzad, you have all that stuff, but you also have, you know, the powerhouse cards in Zephrys and Dragon Queen. That, you know, Zephrys is just one of the most powerful cards in the game, and Dragon Queen can be a really good bomb and has some really unique synergies with Mindrender Lucia, where you can lock your opponent out with your cheap dragons, and then you just give them no removals. So the deck is performing extremely well. I just feel that Gallocron Priest is probably the better option, but I can't not list the 2 priest decks, as they are just too powerful in the meta. And now we're taking a look at the tier 3 decks, and the first one being Tempo Mage. I think I'm highlighting a list that was posted by Fino, and it's all about the new spell damage stuff. You have a ton of new cards in this deck. You have Brain Freeze, you have Devolving Missiles, you have Lab Partner, you have Primordial Studies, you have Wand Thief, you have Cram Session, and you have Jandis Baroff and Raz Frostwhisper. That's a lot of new cards, and they all go really well together. The spell damage stuff is just really synergistic, and it really comes together. You have Shenvala, which can let you generate a lot of 5/5s, and of course you have the old Apprentice, Cyclone, Mana Giant stuff that we've seen in Wild, within Quest Mage, and we've seen in Standard before in Cyclone Mage, and just does a lot of good stuff. And the deck, I've played it quite a bit. It performs very well, is a lot of fun, but it's very tough to pilot and can be very draw dependent. You do have double Cram Session and Intellect to make the draw a little bit better, but if you don't hit that early Sorcerers, it's always a difficult deal, especially against Aggression, which is very popular in ladders. So for me, it's a very solid tier 3 deck. It might move up as we go along, but definitely a really fun one to play and very rewarding if you play it optimally. Next, we have yet another old archetype, but with a new spin, is Galakron Warlock. Has recently been popping up in the last few days because it does very well against the board-centric decks, particularly Druid and Paladin, because you have cards like Plague of Flames and Dark Skies. And typically this deck's been built around, you know, the Invoke package and all of that, and then you have Zephyrus and Dragon Queen. Now people are running the Soul Shard package. You have like Soul Shear, you have Soul Seologist Milicia, you have that type of stuff, and it gives you extra healing, it gives you some extra value, you have some removal, and all this stuff, and it's performing relatively well. People have also tried out some Brittlebone Destroyer in there as well, and Tour Guide just gives you kind of that free, flexible life tap. Has been very valuable, and yeah, the deck's performing very well, and is a decent answer to a lot of the top meta decks. It could just struggle against the combo decks out there, like the Malagos Druids and stuff like that. So yeah, you have to look out for it, but yeah, it's a pretty cool new take on an old favorite, and yeah, give it a go. You might be surprised of how well it's performing. And lastly, we have yet another older archetype. We have Highlander Mage. Highlander Mage has been really popping off. I've been seeing a lot of people at like top 10 Legend with it on multiple servers, and it's just, you know, Highlander Mage before was pretty good, and, you know, now it's got a bunch of new stuff. You got like Jandis Barov, Devolving Missiles, and other cards like that. Nothing too spectacular, like it's not that much change, but the deck is just performing extremely well. Zephyrus is still really good, Reno's really good, Dragon Queen's good, cheating out a puzzle box with Dragoncaster even at 7 can be very powerful, and the deck is doing pretty well at most ranks. Just, it's not that new, not that exciting, but, you know, it is what it is. That's how a lot of these decks are. They were very powerful, and you add a couple new tools, but overall, the meta is shifting a lot. There's a lot of new cool stuff in here, a lot of new takes on old favorites, or just additions to old favorites. Let me know in the comments below, what decks do you agree, disagree with? I know there's a bunch I could have listed here. There's a ton. I thought these would give you a good idea of what's good out there, and of course, you know, check out the resources like I use, like HS Replay, to find other stuff and all that. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. Again, you can expect the wild tier list tomorrow, so make sure you hit that sub button, that notification bell, to be updated when it goes live. Have a great day. Stay salty, my friends.